Harley Race.
Harley, God bless him, one of the hardest working bump takers of any guy in the profession, to the point that I used to say, Harley, you're crazy, you're dumb, you're a fool. I'd slap you in the head to mix up the chips in your computer to stop you from doing this, but you've already done that, But I mean, he just he really busted his butt, took pride in the fact, and I used to say to him, cement floors? I said, no. I said, you ain't gonna talk me into it, and needless to say, he's had back operations and rods in his back, and and God bless him. God bless you, Harley.
I guess on your second tour, came across Dory Funk Jr. Was that probably the first time?
It was cute. I'm getting on the trip to this trip. Dory's coming from Amarillo to Dallas, Dallas to LA, LA to Honolulu, Honolulu to Fiji, Fiji to Sydney. But I'm getting on the plane in Honolulu. When I get on the plane in Honolulu, I got on Dory slippers and shorts, pretty much the way I'm dressed right now, right? And Dory's in a suit. And I had never met him, but I see him at the counter, and I walk up to him and I says, Dory Funk Jr.? He says, yeah. I says, Nick Bockwinkel, shake hands. And so when we get off the airplane in Sydney, I've got a nice suit and a suit bag. I go back in the John. I take a shower and a bath. I mean, not a shower, but I mean, I completely bathe myself down, put the suit on, the fresh tie, the whole thing. Now, Dory's got a suit on, but he looks like just what he's been in. He's been in it for 48 hours and sitting on an airplane. It's rumpled, crinkled, and what have you. And I just look just sparkling, And Jim Barnetti goes, oh, Nicky, he says, you look so impeccable. And Dory looks over at me like, you should have seen him in Honolulu get on the airplane, But you learn that, because the same way when we went to Japan, it was such a long trip. And we would do the cleanup one time. And it was really cute. There was a Bess Meyerson. This was back in the 50s. She was a Miss America, and she emceed a daily female show on TV. And she was on the plane, and we saw her as myself, Handsome Johnny Barron and Magnificent Maurice were getting on the plane in Honolulu to go to Japan. And so she walked by us, and she looked at these three big guys, because she was a very tall, statuesque woman. And so when we got to Japan, she got off the airplane just before us. So as we're walking down the ramp and inside the building, we all, Johnny and myself and others, we all got on the airplane looking like bums. All came off because you had the reporters that were always going to meet you. So we're all tie, shirt, the whole thing. And she's walking just in front of us, and she sees all these photographers running past her, because as you make the turn to go into the depot or the terminal, they're all getting there so they can catch that perfect angle for the picture. And they're all kneeling down, and there must have been about 12 of them. And she's thinking, me. So as she goes by, and she's like, just from this wall to that wall, as she goes by and she makes the turn, and not a flash goes off. And as soon as she goes off, it goes off, boom, 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 all the flashes are going off, because just to catch us walking off the plane. And we're all decked out. And so when we're going through customs, she's looking at us like, I didn't see those guys on the airplane. Who are they? Because we went all looking like bums, beard, and everything. Get off the airplane, we're looking good, Yeah.
Boris Malenko.
Didn't spend an awful lot of time in the man's company, but I worked with him a bit. But excellent, hard worker, good tempo, good pace, knew how to do his thing very well.
Hercules Cortez.
Hercules, got to know him pretty damn well. Minnesota, he was just. I loved the life, and he'd hit him on the chest, and he'd see you. He was always a very upbeat, happy person, yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, switch teams. Right. We'll jump right into Georgia, 1969. This is where you become the heel personality.
The heel personality, yeah. Always wanted to. My friends in Southern California, when I used to be on TV and doing interviews, they go, "Oh, Bockwinkel, you're such a big phony." And I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Oh, because you're a sarcastic ass." and you know all the shit you give us, and blah 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 this and blah 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 that. You know, then you know TV real nice. And he's going to be young Nicky Bockwinkel, the old lady's favorites. You know, like the one at UCLA that gave me the sticker for the parking. I mean, okay. I mean, I'm glad that's the impression she had. You know, not the wise ass that my friends thought I was, but yeah. And so I always wanted to work heel. It's much more comfortable. You don't have to put up with talent with the people. You can just zing them down if you want. You know, just walk on. Whereas you feel a certain obligation if you're one of the nice guys, and you can't be disrespectful to the public and et cetera, et cetera. You can, but then you know right away. Well, what's with him? I mean, he's not anyway. He seems on TV. You know, so I was ready for it, and I was determined to do it in my own inimitable little style. And did it fairly well, I think, and enjoyed it very, very much.
I think your big feud there was probably with Joe Scarpa.
Joe Scarpa, yeah, he was one of the top baby faces there at the time, and I kind of tried to perfect my interview essence. I had a very successful run there, and to the point where they wanted me to stay. Florida wanted me very eagerly. And I'd worked with Dory Funk, who was world champion at the time, and Eddie Graham even approached me as far as possibly NWA champion, which I thought big compliment, you know. And he was very influential in the NWA at that time, you know.
You made the decision to go with Vern, AWA.
I was either going to go to San Francisco or to Minnesota. What had happened is I met a young lady in Hawaii before I went to Georgia. She was leaving about the same time, went to Minnesota to fly for Northwest, who, of course, came through Atlanta, and so the romance continued for the year that I was in Atlanta. And I was either going to go to San Francisco and work for Shires or up to Minnesota and work for Carbo and Gagne. And the fact that my wife, who I was not married to at the time, was up there, we've still been married. We're still married now, going on 32 years. And she was there, and so I decided to go up there. And it was very fortuitous that I did. Not that I don't think, you know, the romance may have survived even if I was in San Francisco, but I went to Minnesota.
They bring you in, do some singles. Then they, I don't know whose idea was to team with Ray Stevens.
The offices, you know, the office, that's their job, is to look at the talent they have and look at the whole mix of talent that they have on their roster and try to figure out who can we put together that'll make a productive element. That's what offices look for, to get as many productive elements as they can, and so that they can have as many mixes into the stew as they possibly can to make it as tasty as possible. And so when they asked me to team up with Ray, not a problem, and with Ray, not a problem, and so then we did that, and then I think I don't remember how long it was after him and I formulated that Bobby Heenan came into the picture, and there was not a problem there either, and so it turned out to be just a fabulous little trio, really.